How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for the Monday breakdown. Firstly, it's been a while. Hello, how are you? My name's Endicall. This is my channel. I haven't done a solo video in a couple of weeks because I've been just incredibly busy with the job that actually keeps me alive on this earth, the one that pays me. So that is why there has not been as many videos as normal on the channel. But hopefully it's starting to calm down a bit now and I'll be able to bring you some more content over the next couple of weeks. On today's video though, we're talking about the Dundee win from yesterday. I'm going to be taking a look at whether Celtic should sign Jota on a permanent basis. I think we all know the answer. Going to take a quick look at the accounts, but I'm not an accountant and I'm not good at math, so that will be a quick look and it'll be sort of tied in with the Jota conversation. And I'm going to take a look at Celtic's results since the last international break, now that we're heading in to an actual international break. I'm going to take a look at the results since the last one, where we improved and what we want to do post this international break as well. So let's get into the video. So before I get into the actual topics, if you like this video and you want to see more, and I promise you there will be more over the next couple of weeks, hit the subscribe button below and do give the video a like as well. Leave a comment as well. I try to get back to everyone as much as I can when I'm not too busy. So do hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. The channel is growing nicely. I like to see it grow a little bit more. So do hit the subscribe button if you do like this video. Let's start with the Dundee win. So it was 4-2 for Celtic in the end. Jota and Kyogo doing the business once again. And it was just a phenomenally entertaining game. I think the general consensus on Celtic Twitter was that Celtic are entertaining to watch. And that is what you want. You want your team to be fun to watch. Was it a perfect performance? No. Was it a good performance? Absolutely. And there's context to every result. So it's Dundee. You expect to win these games. It is a game that Celtic should probably be winning at the scoreline that they are winning. And I think it's just the manner in which Celtic went about it. So one of the biggest issues that Celtic have had over the last couple of weeks, and we've seen it against Livingston, was breaking down a low block, breaking down a team that's going to sit in. And I think we found the solution. Score early, catch them cold. You need to start the game fast, and Celtic did that and took the lead. And the game was over by halftime. Celtic were in complete control. The forward line were creating chance after chance after chance, and it was just brilliant to watch. It was a really, really fun game to watch, and I think that's what you want when you're not playing consistent big games like in Europe, or where in the Premier League you get big games almost every second week at least. You will come up against teams like Dundee, so you want to be putting them to the sword. You want to be showing what you can do, and you know, it is a fine balance between, you know, testing out players like Scales or Giakoumakis to see what they do if they get a start at this level. But you do also want consistency within your squad, consistency within the players, and giving them the opportunity to build some momentum, build some form, and you can only do that by playing games. So while I do see the argument in, you know, giving Giakoumakis a start or giving Liam Scales a start or trying something new in midfield, you also have to take into account that 2 goals from Jota yesterday, 2 goals from Kyogo yesterday, that's building their momentum, that's building their form, and that will reflect then when it comes to the bigger games like Leverkusen or Betis or the European games or a derby game. You want them firing, you want them confident, and these games are the perfect opportunity to build their confidence because, let's face it, they are really good players. They're players of really high standards. So if they're going to be playing their best against these teams, they're going to be too strong, they're going to score goals, and I think that's what we're seeing. Special mention to Anthony Ralston. I think Charlie Adam bouncing off Anthony Ralston before the Jota goal is probably going to be my favourite moment of the season. At the end of the season, is by far and away my favourite moment from this season. It's just like, it was the perfect sort of mashup between the player I disliked the most from Dundee, the player I'm liking the most from Celtic this year, and then it ended up in a goal. It would have been a fantastic moment had that cross hit the first man and gone out for a corner. But the fact that firstly, he just rides the challenge of Charlie Adam, puts him on his ass, and then puts in a perfect cross for Jota to score the goal. It was absolutely phenomenal from Anthony Ralston, and he was brilliant again yesterday. I think what's very interesting to see about Ralston is not only is he producing on the defensive side, so that was the part I would have said he struggled with before this season, but he's also producing now on the attacking side. His crosses are better. His crossing was phenomenal yesterday. He's getting assists. He's popping up with goals. And that's what you want from your fullback. You want someone who's not only giving you an option defensively, they're not only defensively solid, they're also giving you that momentum to build from the back and have crosses coming into the box that people are going to get in the end of, because that's what Celtic struggled with last year. They just could not beat the first man. The quality of ball coming in from Frimpong was just not good enough. It was just failing at every attempt, and now Anthony Ralston is putting in balls that they're going to be getting on the end of. They're going to get goals. And with the likes of Kyogo, who I don't know why he's winning a header against the Dundee centre-backs, but he's winning a header against the Dundee centre-backs, and then Jota getting in at the front post, I think I counted at least 3 moments where even, I think Giakoumakis even had an opportunity where Celtic were putting it in at that front post and getting a man to run onto it, because that's a really, really difficult thing to defend as a defender. So it's great to see them firstly playing well, then developing in areas that they were weak last year, and then just being really exciting to watch. So that Dundee give me a lot of confidence going forward that Celtic are starting to build. They're starting to properly come together as a team, as a unit, and you can build upon it. Context again, Dundee are one of the worst teams in the league, so you have to bring that into account. In terms of the negative aspects of yesterday's game, obviously you have the mistake from Joe Hart. I think that's a mistake. I don't think that's going to happen continuously throughout the season. I really hope it doesn't anyway, but it's a goalkeeping error. It's not the best defending in the world, but it's a goalkeeping error. I think if Joe Hart gets that right, it's not a goal. So that's not something that worries me too much. And then finally, I think Celtic are missing Carl Starfelt a little bit in the centre-back position. I think him and Cameron Carter-Vickers have brought together a really nice relationship. They're starting to bring confidence to that position. Carl Starfelt, I know he struggled at the start, but he's starting to get confidence. And the relationship between the centre-backs, it's one of the most important relationships on the pitch, because if you have fluidity with that in that, then there's so much opportunity to build from the back, but also just be defensively solid. And I think you saw yesterday and with the previous games that Stephen Welsh, while he is building as a player, while he is still a young player, he doesn't have that same relationship with Carter Vickers as Starfelt does. So I think that could be an issue if Starfelt is out for a couple of games, or if he's ever out injured, or Cameron Carter Vickers is out injured. I think Celtic are considerably weaker at the back without the two of them playing there. The main man of the hour, though, from that game is Jota. So he obviously got 2 goals yesterday. That brings his tally up to 6 goals in all competitions, 6 assists as well for Jota. And he's just a phenomenal player. Like, not only is he the most beautiful player to play for Celtic in a number of years in terms of his looks, he is a phenomenal player as well. He's starting to produce consistent performances for a winger, which I do think wingers are, on the broad spectrum, the most inconsistent players within football. So it's good to see a consistent player playing on the wing for Celtic. His dribbling ability is phenomenal. His finishing is great. He has a great eye for positioning in the box, like he did for his second goal, getting in front of the defender. And he has confidence, and that is key. Confidence for a winger is something that you can't quantify with stats, but it is something that you can clearly see when they're playing, because they will not take risks if they don't have confidence. And I think Jota takes loads of risks. So Ange was obviously asked about Jota and what they're going to do in the future for him. Celtic have that 6.5 million option to buy him. So Ange Postecoglou said that if he feels that this is the place for a future, then we'll be more than happy to keep him here. But he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, and he knows the best way forward is to keep playing his football, and the rest will take care of itself. So I think it's not a full buy-in from Ange that, you know, they're going to go spend this 6.5 million. I think he's just pretty much saying, yeah, of course we'll be happy to have a player of his quality at Celtic. So he's not quite saying that Celtic are going to buy him, but he's definitely hinting towards the fact that he's massively impressing at the club. And I think that's obvious with his performances and with his output. I personally think it's a no-brainer. I was very skeptical on the 6.5 million for a winger, for a young winger who's still developing. And I was worried that, you know, he might put 2 to 3 good performances together and people will be jumping the gun saying Celtic should be buying him straight away. But I genuinely think Celtic should be buying him straight away. I had a look at the Celtic transfers for in the last couple of years, the record, and this would put him, £6.5 million would put him in between Jojo Simonovic, just below him, 6.75 million according to Transfer Market. Celtic paid for Jojo Simonovic. So with that context, I think Celtic should spend the 6.5 million on Jota and bring him to the club on a permanent basis, because, and this ties into the sort of third thing that I was going to talk about, and that is the Celtic account. So obviously I'm not an accountant. I was never particularly good at math. I'm a journalist, for God's sake. That's why I'm not going to be breaking down this account system. Someone has done it for me. Swiss Ramble, the guy who does it on Twitter all the time, really good threads when it comes to football business, and he's done the Celtic accounts as well. So to put this into context, Celtic have made in the last 4 years 68 million in profits from player sales. So that doesn't include the 34 million for Edouard, Christie and Ayer from last season. So next year it will be even higher. So 68 million profit in the last 4 years from selling players on, or from player trades, I should say. It's not necessarily just from selling players on, it's also from, brings into account the fees that Celtic have paid for these players as well. So in the last 9 years, Celtic have accumulated 112 million profit from player trading. That's compared to 8 million apparently from Rangers, and that's an insane difference if you're looking at the two teams. So that's a risk reward that you're looking at when you're thinking of a deal for Jota, for this player who's coming in if we pay 6.5 million. Now, I don't like personally to break down players for value, because ultimately you're talking about a human being here. You might not get your return for many different reasons, but you're talking about a 22-year-old winger from Benfica, Portuguese international underage, and he's coming in for 6.5 million. In his first season, he's already got 6 goals, 6 assists, so that's already an output as high as you would expect probably to him to have by the end of the season. So if he makes double figures, then that's, it's up in the value again. So if you cash in on the 6.5 million, the following season, if he has the same season, sort of like a Sinclair situation where he builds on it or he gets into double figures again, that 6.5 million goes up. And I think by the end of it, if Celtic think that they can make 12 to 15 million off selling Jota on in the next couple of years after the development that they've put into him, I think that's worth it. I think they will buy Jota for 6.5 million if they think he will be worth 12 to 15 million in the next couple of years. And I do personally think he will be worth that. Now, again, like I said, number of personal reasons can come into this. He may have an amazing season this year and then drop off next year, but I just don't see that. I think we're looking at a real quality player here who's not only impressing in the Scottish League, he's impressing on the European stage as well. So I think he will be well worth the investment, and Celtic will double or triple their money in the next couple of years. So I think he will definitely come into one of those players in the next couple of years. We'll be seeing Jota on the accounts as a player that we developed at the club and sold on for profits. And essentially that's how Celtic survives. That the Swiss Ramble breakdown shows you Celtic's model is built upon buying in players low and selling them for double or triple their investment. That's how Celtic make money. So I think Jota as a player is good enough to be a Celtic player next season? Absolutely, I do. Do I think from a business perspective it makes sense for 6.5 million to buy a winger? I do. I think Celtic will make their money back and more if they do. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're talking about buying in a player. Let's finish off with the international break and sort of the I don't know what you want to call it, the grading of the last couple of weeks since the last international break. So the results since the last international break were very good, to put it lightly. Unbeaten in 7 games, 6 wins, 1 draw. So in that period since the last international break, Celtic have beaten Motherwell 2-0, Ferencváros 2-0 at home, St Johnstone 2-0 at home. They won against Hibs 3-1 away. The draw against Livingston, obviously disappointing, but it was a draw and not a loss. Then Ferencváros won away 3-2. Then Dundee yesterday won 4-2. After the international break, Celtic have St Johnstone, Bayer Leverkusen, Aberdeen and Hearts. So difficult enough 3 out of 4 games there as they come out of the international break. But you're thinking if Celtic can build as well as they built in the last international break and improve in the same manner, then I think that's going to be a vast improvement and they're going to continue to build. And I do think they will, the longer Ange gets to work with these players, the longer they're working together. Like I said, this is a new squad, a brand new squad full of new players. The longer they can play together, the more time they can get with each other and get used to what they're doing, I think the better they will do. So I think the last 7 games have been phenomenal. If you think back to some of those goals, some of the games, they're really exciting games, and that's what you want with a Celtic team. You want them to be exciting. You want them to be winning games firstly, but you want them to be entertaining. And I do think this Ange team is a very entertaining team. What I would like to see now over the next couple of weeks after the international break. So the international games are over now until next year. There's not going to be an international break until 2022. So what I'm aiming for, or what I think Celtic will be aiming for, there's 11 games now between the next Rangers game. There's a lot of big games in there. You have the Bayer Leverkusen game, you have the Betis games. They're the most important games, obviously, but Celtic do have European football guaranteed, be that Conference League next year if they are knocked out of the Europa League. But you want to stay in the Europa League, so that's what's important. Firstly, you want to guarantee yourself your Europa League football before next year. But in those 11 games, Celtic are currently 4 points behind Rangers. If Celtic are within 2 points of Rangers by that next derby game, then if they win, they can go top of the league. So I think that's hugely important for Celtic to aim for that. If they are 2 points, within 2 points, or even less of Rangers by the time they get to that stage, then I think Celtic can go on and win the league, because I do think that will be the strongest Celtic have gone into a derby match in the last 2 years. So I think that's what Celtic will be aiming for. Will they get there? I think they can. I don't think Rangers are as strong as they were last year. The results are sort of, going towards where the means probably should have been last year. I think Alan Morrison and James did a brilliant job in explaining why Rangers were massively overachieving on what they were actually performing on the pitch last year, and the points difference was much smaller than it appeared on the table in reality. So I think we're sort of migrating towards the means once again. Before I finish up, I should mention from the Celtic accounts, it's well worth going and having a look at this Swiss Ramble thing, but one of the main things outside of the obvious of player profits, etc., Neil Lennon got paid 600 grand for leaving the club last year. It's on the accounts. It's there. It's an interesting one. I mean, obviously he's going to get paid something to leave. 600 grand seems pretty high for a manager who, the results speak for themselves in that sense. So I don't know. Is that interesting? I don't know if it's interesting. I thought it was worth a mention at the end of the podcast. That is the Monday breakdown for this Monday. Like I said, apologies that I haven't been as active on the channel over the last couple of weeks. It's just been a really busy period, but I do hope that over the next couple of weeks I'm going to have some really good content coming down the line. I'm also getting over to a game this year. I will have more on that in the next couple of weeks as well. The Huddle breakdown back again this week as well. If you want to get that, do subscribe to the channel below, or you can get us at the Huddle breakdown on Twitter, or at Breakdown Inc., which is the overarching Twitter account for all of this content as well. I'm Andy Call. This was the Monday breakdown. We're back at last. We're back, baby. Celtic are back, and we're finally winning games. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Good luck.